Jeff Klemm, are you ready to fearlessly question today?
Absolutely.
All right, fantastic. Well, um, we're going to kind of ease into it, but first, very first fearless question for you off the top, just to kind of give everybody an idea of the dedication and passion it takes to do what you do. How many days in a row have you gone into social settings without showering on the road?
Probably 2 weeks, a little bit. It's always a little strange when you're on the road and you don't know where you're gonna shower. So I'm gonna go with a week and a half, but you guys know the real answer here.
So if anybody is tuning out now, don't worry. You can't smell him through the thing. This is completely, there's no danger here. So first, Jeff, why don't you go ahead and let's catch everybody up. Tell us your story a little bit, fearlessly questioning creative business and what you do and why you have some experience in it.
All right. Well, my name is Jeff Klemm. People call me JCK, professionally-ish, sort of. I'm a musician, an artist, a sound engineer, a recording engineer. I co-own a record label. My band is called Maid Myriad. We've been together almost 7 years in various incarnations, I will say. We tour nationally all the time. We're constantly on the road. We're constantly playing shows. We're constantly making records. We just released a full-length album October 7th, which you can find on somewhere on the screen on iTunes and Amazon and all of that stuff. Spotify, if you like to listen to things for free. The band is called Maid Myriad, and we're signed to a New Jersey record label called Nefarious Industries, which specializes in kind of fringe noise type stuff, and we're the most kind of mainstream act that they have. In addition to that, I own my own recording studio, and I work at various music venues as the live sound engineer. So I'm constantly around artists 24 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, we go way back. I mean, not way back, but we go back far enough to I could say probably way back.
Yeah, definitely. Go back
And
about 7, 8 years.
yeah, so for everybody that is listening to this on the podcast, you are also the man behind that awesome song that they hear every time they listen to this show.
Yes, yes.
So we can thank you for that.
Thank you. I called it Jang Granola. I thought it was because they're okay.
I enjoyed it. So, so I mean, so obviously, and being connected for so long, I always follow you on Twitter and wherever else, and I always see you doing things like I'm going to be running sound here, I'm playing a show there. I mean, like literally every day, I'm thinking to myself, I'm sitting on my couch, Jesus, man, like what is this guy doing? Like it's exhausting, because like if you're not doing something like that in Ohio where we're both from, you're either somewhere across the country too. So first fearless question right off the top.
Okay.
I'm going to get to it. And this is the kind of the two-part question that I've kind of been bouncing around leading up to the show is, do you have enough business in your creativity?
Yes. I'm going to say yes, simply because I made a decision to revolve my life around music. So if I am not playing or writing with my band or touring, I am helping other people create, whether it is in a live venue setting as their sound engineer or in my recording studio when I'm producing their records. So yes, and in all those ways I get to be creative as well as make some money.
And why do you think people, when I say people, I mean people that are artistic and creative, why do they have such a hard time realizing or associating things in a business sense? Like they don't want to call it a business, or they don't want to run it like a business, or they don't want to even, like saying that word is like a dirty word, like the dirtiest word you could say. Like why is that?
Well, a lot of artists I just want to be an artist, man. I just want to just create. That's all I want to do. And so they kind of, envelop themselves in this world of just straight creativity. And that's fine, but we're in 2014 where everybody's trying to get a piece of the pie. So I decided, and I think that this is important for every entrepreneurial artist type person, is you got to just be that, an entrepreneur. You have to make money as well. There's two sides to the coin. So I think a lot of artists kind of overlook the fact that they can be making money and they can be doing things and they can create a business out of either themselves or their ears or their eyes, So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, it's frustrating for me to see because obviously I came out of that space a long time ago. But the thing that I think, we'll go right to the flip side of that. So the other part of that question, I'm going to ask it, and you might be surprised a little bit about it. And I want you to think hard about it because it might seem strange, but the other side of the question was, do you have enough creativity in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Because my business is music, and music is pure creativity when it should be.
So, and that's exactly what I thought you would say. And now, what I'm going to come back to you on that is what are some of the more creative ways that you find successful in the music business or in the artistic business, if you will? Because I see a lot of bands or people that are, in my sense, kind of wasting that fanaticism that they accumulate, and they don't capitalize it and get as much as they maybe could out of it.
Saying that they're not dedicated.
Saying they're not really pushing the envelope as to what people would actually pay for. Again, coming back to we talked about in the rant video, what you would actually sell and things like that, where it's the live experience. But there's so many other things that you can be looking to. The fancy, again, in a way, dirty word in the marketing space is monetize this content. So what I mean, because it's a lot of things. What are some of the interesting ways that you see, and are there other avenues like we were just talking, Google Hangouts even, that you haven't even tapped into?
There are plenty of ways that I personally have not tapped into, and a lot of artists are not tapping into. There's YouTube is obviously a great source for monetizing videos and making cool artistic things, but you have to have those little ads there because you got to make some money with that. A lot of people are like, oh, this is my music video. I don't want an ad showing up. Well, if it goes viral, you're missing out on some dough. In addition to that, people highly underestimate the impact of just random acoustic shows in small venues. And then somebody tapes it and it goes on the internet, and then you just feel that much closer to the artist. It's all about the experience. A lot of these bigger bands, are still going for the mystique factor that was very important in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You didn't know shit about Jim Morrison, with the exception of that he seemed like a cool guy to hang out with, but he seemed insane. You don't know what he's doing or any of those things, and a lot of people are trying to hang on to this mystique factor, but it's not important in 2014. Mystique is not important. People want to buy the artist themselves and not just their product, the artist themselves.
It's more about the story of how the music was created than the actual. I mean, obviously the music is important, but they want to know the story behind it, right?
Yeah, they want to know the story behind it. They want to know the people behind it. They want to know all these things.
And I mean,
go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I mean that's and translating that into the business world. I mean that's the same mistake a lot of business owners make too. They don't want to give away their secret sauce, if you will. They want to hold it to the vest, and they don't want to open up and tell that story. How have you been successful telling that story?
Well, for instance, I'll tell you one little tidbit. I'm on Instagram, and
you do quite well on Instagram. I love your pizza pictures.
That's exactly that's the secret sauce I was about to talk about.
Yeah.
The pizza. So there you go. You just said you do very well on Instagram. It's about the pizza, and the pizza thing came from, it was an idea that my guitar player had. We were going on this 5-week tour, 30 shows, and we're like, okay, cool. And I was thinking of new creative ways of marketing the band rather than being like, you know, oh, here's a sign of us in Mississippi. Cool story. Instead, he's like, this is my first tour. I want to eat a slice of pizza in every city that we go. So, ding, 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 all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I have a new marketing tool for this tour. So we got a slice of pizza in pretty much every city, and I started posting it and tagging, the tour of pizza. So now when people think, Maid Myriad, they think the tour of pizza and how long we've been on the road and that we really like pizza. And people start bringing pizza to the shows. Oh, try my city's pizza. It's a little surreal and strange, but it worked. And that was a little bit of the secret sauce. It's just finding something different to market yourself with. And I don't know how. Somehow we just, pizza. Pizza's great.
I'm smiling on the outside and on the inside because, one, I didn't have a chance to talk to you about that before the show, and I wasn't sure if it was a deliberate thing or not. I just thought it could have been something that you just started doing, but I'm glad it was because it's something that I pay attention to. Oh, man, because, well, one, I'm thinking, son of a, this guy's out here with these, that's the worst part about Instagram. But you're right. I think, and the most interesting part about that is the actual bringing of the pizza to the show. That's crazy. I like that a lot because that's what happens when you create that relationship. People go above and beyond.
And people, they keep posting, come to our town, so-and-so, so-and-so. We've got the best pizza, and I'll take you there. So it definitely works. I don't know.
Well, and you know what I love best about that is the fact that you're already doing something that is inherently more interesting than well, let's just say everybody watching this. Playing in a band is 10 times more interesting than any one of the jobs that people are doing right now. Yet still, as interesting as playing music is, you still associate yourself with something else, which is pizza.
Yeah, I mean, everybody likes pizza. Not everybody will like your band, but everybody can appreciate pizza, I think.
So, and I think one of the important points, and this is coming back to one of the questions that we asked a little bit earlier, a big thing for we talked about the creativity of things and wanting to monetize it and wanting to make sure that there's a business around it. A big trend in business is creating this content like what we're doing here, but people will either get too caught up on it. They want it to be perfect. They want it to be this thing. They don't want it to be tarnished by anything. How do you kind of gauge that in your own work, and how would you kind of help others do the same?
I'm still figuring that out, I suppose. But as far as the content that we release, we try and be calculated with it. We try and make sure that everything is calculated, but we don't think about it too hard. Just because we know what we do, and we just try and keep it fresh, I guess. So that doesn't answer your question.
Sorry,
we're in a
one of those a show. So
we're in a rock and roll band. We definitely utilize social media on all fronts. We try and keep up with the trends, but we don't try and follow every single trend. So our content is okay, solid, but there's always room for improvement.
Well, I think it's just again, coming from where I did, being somebody who was playing music and things like that, you had such this level of it can't see the light of day until it's absolutely ready. To boy, we've got to get something out because we just need to have a deadline in the business world. And it was very interesting to me making that. It was a hard adjustment, I guess, and I think people have it both ways where they're not used to putting stuff out there. Maybe answer this, and I've had this question come my way, like what does it feel like when you actually had to publish that first piece of writing or whatever it was, or put that first thing out there? And I think you've probably been doing it so long you're probably just inherently broken to the whole thing. But do you have any suggestions to that?
Well, it's always terrifying. You're always like, is it good enough? Am I going to, have I chosen the correct direction? Have I committed 100%? But if you believe in it, just go for it, really. So when we released the very first single off of our new record, I stayed up all night, very, very nervous. Even though I did the record, we were super pumped about it. It felt good. It sounded great. The best thing we ever did. I still had that day before release, being up all night, biting my fingernails, wondering, but it is what it is.
Well, we'll let you take a break from being on the hot seat, and we'll let you turn the tables a little bit on everybody else out there. What's a fearless question that you want to ask the audience that you've always wanted to know the answer to? The people that come see you play, that you interact with, what is something that you've always wanted to know from them, but just were always kind of unsure of the answer that you might get?
I'm just interested in what people want to see from like the behind the scenes content that we release, because bands don't often get to speak with their fans about business and content. So I'm interested in that. What do you want to see from the band that bands don't normally do?
Fantastic question. So if anybody wants to chime in, we'll go ahead and feature those answers as we talk here. I'm gonna answer it just because you asked, and I feel like answering. It's my show. I can do what I want. Yeah, I think, and we talked about it a little bit. It's the story. It's the tour of pizza. I'm gonna bring up a reference. This could make you not want to talk to me ever again in your life, but the show, The Voice on NBC. Of the music shows, I feel it is one of the better ones. Only because, and this is, I fell into this purely by accident, and my wife wanted to watch it, and because I'm a nice guy and wanted to spend time with her, I decided to join her in this terrible journey. Once you start, it is like a serious drug addiction. You can't, you have to do the whole season. I don't even start a season if I don't want any part of it. But I've only watched like 2 of however many seasons they've done. But what I found interesting is that it became, you would ignore the music to some extent. You would ignore some of the flaws, or maybe you didn't particularly care for something as much. But because you were getting to know these people throughout the course of that show, it made it so much. It made that connection. It made you more likely to make that transaction.
Right.
That's kind of, I guess, what it's bands letting you in on being part of their club, like in the tour bus, in the van. Have you messed with any of that a little bit? I haven't seen too many like in the van footages released.
We always do pictures of us in the van when we're doing goofy things, or right before we leave for tour, or while we're on the tour, when we're on the road. But we've never done, and this is an idea that we've been brewing. Our next music video is actually going to be all shot in our tour van. So yeah, let everybody in. We like to do a lot of snippets on our Instagram and on our Facebook of new songs we're working at, new riffs. New just recordings that we're doing. So we like to think that we let people in on new music before it's released all the time.
All right. Well, we'll see if we get any answers into that question. But the one question that we kind of touched on a little bit, I want to take it in a slightly different direction, is how do you deal with self-evaluating kind of your own creative work? Now, we talked about the process it goes through, but I want you to look at through the lens of, I guess, how do you continue to say, because when you're band, you have people listen to it, they say, oh, that's great, that's really great. You get a lot of people just lying to your face blatantly, and it drives me nuts. How do you kind of get through that crap, let's say, and how do you self-evaluate, and how do you find people to actually tell you the truth about something?
Yes, there is a lot of people after gigs or after recordings or after those, it was best I've ever seen, just the greatest, it was fantastic, very nice work, awesome, but and then you're like, cool, thanks, cut the shit. What is it good? Are we doing all right? Do you like the new song? Really, it's just, like my mom will always say that it's the best show that she's ever seen. And
somewhere in mom school, that's like lesson 2 or 3, I think.
It's Mom 101. Yeah. Momming 101, I think. But I have my few select friends that I know they're going to be blatantly honest with me, and I go to them first. Hey, what'd you think of the show? what'd you think of this record? And they'll just straight up tell me. So weeding through the blatant lies to your face is just about knowing when somebody will seriously tell you the truth no matter what.
How important is it to not? I mean, did you ever find yourself in a period where you got caught up in that too much? Did it ever lead you down a kind of a different path? Like, did you ever get in trouble because of it?
By listening to other people or by sugarcoating my own responses?
Well, both. Let's say sugarcoating your own like kind of thoughts on it, or just continuing to keep yourself in that hey, you're awesome bubble.
Yeah, it did get me in trouble, and I started getting a little bit too over the top with the sugarcoating when people would ask me, and then I would realize that nobody really wants to hear that. Everybody wants to hear, that they did a great job and they're the best band that anybody's ever seen. But so what I started doing is just focusing on the positive aspects of what people are doing and really, pushing those rather than harping on the negative. I would bring them up, if it were a good friend of mine, rather than if I would just see a band the next day, tomorrow, and come up to them and be like, dude, great show, but man, your bass player looks like an idiot. They would hate me forever, man, great show, guitar tone sounded fantastic, It's just better to be honest. Sugarcoating things only get you so far, I think.
So now, now obviously taking that criticism takes a little bit of a special skill. How would you say? I mean, how would you kind of say like, listen, this is just to help you get better, and improve? What would your kind of thoughts be on accepting that criticism or accepting that honesty?
I mean, we appreciate everybody's opinions when they talk to us after the show, so we've just learned, because we're the type of band that will go out and play a show for 5 people in Pascagoula, Mississippi, and not bat an eye. So we get a lot of criticism on the road, and we've just learned to accept it. And typically people are nice about it because they know we're not from the town. So going about it is just second nature. You'll always get criticism as an artist, no matter what. And there will always be people that hate you for what you're doing.
But they might show up with a slice of pizza for you.
They might give us pizza, so we try to be nice to mostly everybody.
So, and here's something, and I think this is the biggest thing that you can kind of help people out with in our buttoned-up shirt and tie lifestyle, those of us that are chained to our cubes and are looking for something a little bit more. How would you suggest or help somebody find more creativity within their own job and kind of applying it?
I mean, they say that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Just think outside the box. Think outside the cube. How about we'll go with that one? Even just as simple as bringing something, interesting to your desk. Like this right here is my office. It's my recording studio, and I always have just some weird, little decorations and cool things to just inspire me. Like this is the Tin Man right here. So, just cool, weird little things to just, constantly inspire you. That's what I don't know. I'm a weird artist. I have a kaleidoscope collection on my desk right now.
Well, that's how you describe the music that you guys play, is that not right?
Yes, correct.
It's kaleidoscope rock music, is that the official phrasing?
That is the official genre we made up, yes.
How important is it to make up your own genre when you don't fit into one?
Well, a lot of people give us a lot of flack for making up a genre. They're like, what the hell is kaleidoscope rock? And it's, my answer is just this. Well, what the heck is, whatever core? Or, everything is alternative now. So kaleidoscope rock is the alternative to the alternative. it's just a different way of branding, and it's kind of starting to catch on a little bit.
Have you seen any other bands start using it?
No, but if I do, I will definitely high five them forever.
Well, see, I think that's also an important thing too, because the camaraderie that exists within the creative spaces, we'll say, is a lot nicer than if somebody were into their business space. If somebody were to use their trademark, they would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna come with you, my 16 lawyers, and we're gonna make you take that down." But you, as opposed, your first instinct is, "I'd like to give you a hug. I'll buy you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, maybe, and we'll be friends."
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's all about camaraderie in the independent music world, because we're all in it together, and we're a lot stronger together than separated and being angry at each other.
And as we're getting close to wrapping this up here, the whole creative business thing. Now, I kind of made that up as to be. It's kind of vague. It can be applied in a lot of different ways. We're obviously taking it more down the artistic route of music and things like that. I mean, what is the most important thing in your mind that you kind of do to focus those creative efforts in a business way? Like, what keeps you focused on, yes, I have to be creative, but yes, I still have business objectives? Where do you draw those lines? How do you find that focus?
Well, I have a recording studio here, and I know that I have to go to work every day. Just because my work is coming here and playing guitar and playing drums and creating songs doesn't make it any less important. You still have to do it every single day. So it's just really just about the dedication and actually doing it as much as you possibly can, even if you don't feel like it. See, a lot of artists get in that mode where they say, "Oh, I don't feel creative today. I don't feel like doing this. I've had writer's block forever." And it's just stupid excuses. Who cares if you've had writer's block? The only way to get over that is to just do what you want to do, no matter what, every day. So that's kind of how I approach it.
Yeah, are you familiar with a dude by the name of Austin Kleon? That sounds very similar to what he says.
I'm not familiar with him.
He wrote a couple books. It's like Steal Like an Artist and Show Your Work, things like that. He does some pretty cool stuff on Instagram too. You should check him out. You might like him. But yeah, so it's pushing through writer's block, and he says a lot of that same stuff. It's just he sits down and he writes every day.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse to not do the work.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I do want to get your thoughts on, and this is just personally selfish, me being selfish here. So we mentioned at the top of the show that you did write the theme song.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people out there doing other things like this, like I'm doing, that have their generic old, this is the top things you don't care about podcast that you'll never listen to again intro. And I would think that there are a lot of highly creative people in that space that is that an avenue that, I mean, if you're just sitting around today and you make a couple $100 writing a song for somebody, is that something that would help subsidize the band's cost? I mean, is that something that you would have fun doing? Is that an avenue that is untapped for musicians, like writing stuff that is kind of close to what they do musically, but still doing it in other platforms?
I mean, a lot of people are making a ton of money off that. That's absolutely a way to subsidize the band's cost, and there are so many people doing that. There are a lot of famous musicians that have quit their actual bands because they make 10 times more money doing, intro songs or songs for film or just little TV 30-second snippets, and they get paid, just enough. For one little snippet, they get paid more than their last record made. So, as being an untapped market, it's definitely tapped. A lot of people are going that way. Personally, I have done a few of those things, but I try and focus more on my own music for no other reason other than I like my own music the best.
I'll interpret that as Joey, go screw yourself. I'm not doing that, and I like.
No.
I did a favor for you. You're lucky I knew you because I wouldn't have done it otherwise. Is basically what I heard.
No, man. I've definitely done a few theme songs, and I love it. It's really fun. It's cool to just get something out of the door in a day. There's definitely big feeling of accomplishment when I knock something out in a few hours and it sounds real cool, regardless of if it's going on my record or elsewhere.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up with, and what I'd like to try and do is if you could just take one thing for somebody out there to go ahead and be a little more creative in their work, what would you want them to do today?
Think outside the cube, man. Just try and find the beauty in everything. That's something that I always try and do, is just try and find something nice and cool about every single little thing and something different. I don't know. How about that?
All right. And I do appreciate you taking the time and hanging out with us today. Where can people check out the new album, With Haste on Its Breath, I believe is what it's called?
The record is called With Haste on Its Breath, and you can go to maidmyriad.com. That's MaidMyriad. You can also find us on Twitter. That's at Maid Myriad, and Instagram. And I'm also personally on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff, and that's /ThisIsJCK or @ThisIsJCK. So I'll post links to all those every couple days to find the record.
I love it. And you know what I love about every other guest that I've had on here before, and this is indicative of the music business, in which I love personally, they all just say, you can find me at this one little place. Now, musicians and everybody, they're going to give you everything.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. And I think that's an important lesson to learn, too. Don't be so shy.
Yeah, we released a record, and it's like, yeah, we released an album. You can find it on our website, but you can also find it on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, SoundCloud, Bandcamp, and then people will find whichever one they like. There's so many different ways to consume music. So we don't have just one thing.
Well, JCK, I appreciate you coming and taking the time to sit down with us, and we'll be back for some more Fearless questions. If you did enjoy this show and you do want to help the show, feel free to find us in iTunes or Stitcher and leave a rating or review for that as well. It will help other people enjoy some more Fearless questions as well. But for JCK, I'm going to get out of here. We'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy, everyone.
Thanks so much, Joey. Appreciate it.